Good morning and welcome to a very important budget model railway video because we're doing one of my how to make a complete layouts. One of our most popular videos we did actually, as it happened around lockdown time, was how to make a complete model railway for beginners in double O, and it proved very popular. What I wanted to do though was to look at what could you do if you really didn't have much space, if you genuinely are pushed for space, and that means N. And what I didn't know about at the time is the classic Gaugemaster shunting puzzle, which with only 2 points actually gives you a huge amount of shunting potential. And we also have the ability now to have some very cheap locos and rolling stock through the Peco pocket line range, and also the ability to 3D print onto Peco chassis. But we'll come to that in one of the later videos. What I wanted to do was to come up with something that anyone could make. So it wouldn't need any particular skills. It wouldn't need a lot of, well, see if you, I mean, the last one you had to find yourself a bit of board and find yourself some back scene. And I wanted to find a way of saying, well, actually, what's easily commercially available? So whilst this might not be quite as budget as I would like, which is what we discovered when we did the double O, this is something that anybody can go out and do. Everything I'm going to use is easily commercially available. Now, what I've done there is to show you some buildings, and we'll come back to them in the later video. What I wanted to talk to about today was baseboards and track. So let's just move these out of the way. So, baseboard. Me and Doug were in B&Q the other day, and they do a whole range of these cantilever shelves, which is what I've been using a great deal now for layouts. And we found this. This is a rigger, if I'm pronouncing it that right, and this is the 60 centimetre by 19 centimetre version. And what these are self-contained shelves. They're cantilevers, so they're strong and they're durable. And as this one is going to live on a table, that will be fine. It doesn't need a great deal of extra support. We're just going to use that as it is. Now, I happen to buy this for £4 because the green and the red are reduced, probably because they're revolting colours and not many people want them in their homes. Normally though, they're still only £9. So hopefully by the time this video is out, this is still a product that B&Q make. If not, these kind of shelves are readily available from a number of sources. Shop around a bit, but at £4 this made this particularly cheap. Now what was very fortuitous is this size is exactly right for the minimum N-gauge layout. Now the classic Gaugemaster does not have or does not need a separate fiddle yard. You simply run your wagons back and then you put them back when you've finished, and you use the cards again, and we'll come to all this when we do the operational video. But it means this is all we need. Sorry if you're picking up some background noise of the rain. Most places in the UK now it hasn't really stopped raining for the last 2 weeks. So I can't really do much about this. If I wait for it to stop raining with 2 more storms on the way, we'll never get there. So that's the baseboard. And then what's that covered with? Bear with me. That's covered with this. Metcalfe M0056 tarmac builder sheets. And once we've built the layout, that will be completely adequate. We do not need to start worrying about ballasting, particularly in N. It's fiddly, tends to make the points a bit unreliable. So I'm not going to worry. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of using ballast mats. Let's keep this one simple. Let's use a readily available kit, the Metcalfe sheets. Now there's a join there and there's a join there, but you can't see them because they butt up so well. And that then brings us to the track. What I'll do is I'll just invert this a little so that you can see it better. There we go. So what have we got here? Well, I'll put it in the description, but I'll put it there as well so that you can freeze the video and make a note of it. But basically we've got 2 ST1s, an ST2, an ST3, an ST5 and 6, 3 ST11s, 2 packs of ST8. Now these are the Peco set track components, and I've also put there the current price that Peco quote. Now this is important because when you go on eBay, which is where some of you are going to do this, these prices will vary hugely. Some will be a little bit more expensive than this because there's some postage. But some people, quite frankly, are taking the rise. And I've seen these prices almost double this, sometimes from what should be reputable retailers. Most retailers, you can get them for this and a little bit more postage, but please shop around. Cheapest way to buy them, if you're fortunate enough to have a local model shop, because obviously you won't pay any postage. What I would tend to do is I would find either an eBay retailer who will combine the postage, or I would ring one of the major retailers, because all of that will go under one lot of postage. And that then obviously means you're paying almost no postage on those 9 parts. Do not ignore secondhand. Forget all the myths about secondhand track being a problem, particularly on the straights, not really an issue. With the points, yes, I wouldn't buy them online because you need to examine them. I buy all my points secondhand. Personally, I tend to go to Classic Rail in Kent and he will mail order them. If you get them from him, they will be in good condition. Buying the points secondhand will halve the price of them. And certainly if you're fortunate enough to have somewhere you can buy the track pieces secondhand, no problem. You will almost certainly need to replace the fish plates. I do find that fish plates on secondhand end track do not survive well, and you will need to replace them, which is a slight additional cost. Now, however, should you buy new, it's only going to cost you around £43–45. I say only. Model Railways is not the world's cheapest hobby. That is a lot less than it would cost you to do a much bigger layout, especially if people start getting complicated with points at £12 each. So not a huge cost, no real reason not to go out and buy yourself some new track. You will need some track pins. Now you could use track screws, but track pins are cheaper. You just need a hammer and a punch to put them in. Relatively simple. And the track pins are around the £3 mark. So potentially to get this far is going to cost you about £60. If you do it second hand, if you manage to get yourself a bit of board and some second hand track, obviously it'll be about half that. But if not, still not an expensive project so far. And then what we will do next time is we will talk about the buildings, which are Metcalfe buildings. Again, cheap, readily available, simple to build. So that's part 1. Relatively quick to do. Sticking the board down, nailing the track down, took very little time. Couple of things to think about when you're laying the track. I'm going to move the camera. This little piece goes right up to the edge with the powered fish plates sticking out. I did forget that on the list. You will need to buy powered fish plates. Don't buy the Peco powered track because it won't fit. But these are relatively cheap again to buy, and you will just need 2 to go in there. You also need to ensure that this point is 59 millimeters from the back edge. If it's not, the building won't fit. So just bear those 2 things in mind. But there we go. That's part 1. Oh, my tripod's not working, so I'm going to just stand here and hold that. That's part 1. Part 2, we'll look at the buildings, some more scenery and back scenes, and then we can move on to rolling stock and so on. But hopefully this will get some people's interest. The thinking of this is quite simple. A lot of people say, I haven't got room for a layout. And what they mean is they've gone out and they've bought a 00 Flying Scotsman that they've always wanted and have discovered they need a whacking great layout to run it round and they can't really use it for shunting. Now, I'm a great believer that any layout is better than no layout. So if you've gone and done that, what I suggest you do is find some more funds or sell it, because you're probably never going to get the big dream layout you ever want. It's much better to have something than nothing. And that's really what this layout is about. In Engage, and as you'll see as we move forwards, keeping it down to a budget and keeping it quick and simple so you can build it quickly, have it up and running in no time. So thank you very much for watching part 1. and we're all looking forward, I hope, to part 2.